It's so awesome to have you both on here because Friday was a big day. You released the new records, and I want to talk all about those, of course, with you. But before we do, could you each talk a little bit about your personal stories and how you got into making music?
Sure, Pat, you want to take the lead here?
Oh, geez, sure. So I am from Vancouver, Canada, originally, and I sort of started DJing when I was in college, and did some like local stuff, like just residencies and things like that. And I kind of started messing around with mashups at first, and just doing bootlegs of remixes, as I think a lot of people do. And eventually I got a little bit better and or less trash, and and other people started playing some of my remixes, and then yeah, it was pretty organic. Like, went from there to slowly started playing shows in other places. I think like Denver and Seattle were like my first places playing outside of my hometown, and now I'm here in LA. I've been here for 4 years. Do a lot of touring, or as much as you can do right now, and collaborations and remote sessions and in-person sessions, and I know that's sort of the story.
Hell yeah.
I yeah, I got into the whole electronic thing with Party Pupils as kind of like an experiment with my other half, Max, which I started the project with about 5 years ago, and we just did a flip of Miss Jackson cover, or we did a cover of like a cover flip of Miss Jackson that ended up going kind of viral, and kind of accidentally got us into the electronic space. We had never really DJed before, at least not like on a grand scale, just doing friends parties and whatnot. But I'm kind of older, I guess, in the game, and especially getting into it so late, it was kind of like a little added bonus on top of being kind of just a music director and hired gun musician, which was I was basically doing for the last 10 years, and still kind of am in many respects. But yeah, no, this has been the love of my life, and working with Pat is part of it, man. We've just been like cranking out tunes for the last, honestly, I'm probably almost 2-3 years at this point, but really in the last like 8-9 months, we have well over an album's worth of material right now that we're actually just like actively playing out and testing out. So these first, actually technically 3 songs on Club Sweat that we've just put out in the last year are kind of our front facing tunes that was the first out of the batch.
Love it. So more to look forward to. That's
Yeah.
exciting. How did the two of you meet and start working together?
Pat, wasn't it when we decided to do that flip of Take on Me over Twitter? Like we were fan. I think it was the like I already loved his music before I knew him, and so like everybody does, like follow each other back on Twitter and Instagram, all that stuff. And so like I had posted something that made him think of the Take on Me, and I was like, yeah, we should. I think one of us was like, we should flip that, and so we did it as that was like the first thing we did as a fun thing. And I don't even think we ever ended up actually putting that out in any capacity. It's been in every mix that I've played live, but yeah, no, we then just ended up making a record together not too long after, like a real record with dances called From the Back, and that was our first release actually. So we've been
That was after we met, right? Like in person. Sorry to interrupt you.
we met at Electric Forest for the
Yeah,
first time. Yeah, summer of 18. That's what I remember.
that was after I'd sent you those like pianos or whatever for the Take on Me thing. So that was already kind of like done. You were playing that out, and
Yep.
then we were both playing at Electric Forest, and linked up for the first time. And then after that, I think we wrote that first like original with dances.
Yeah.
And it's all history ever since. Flash forward to today. I Want You in Alaska are officially out as of Friday. What inspired each of these records?
Pat.
So with I Want You, it's sort of like this classic. When I started getting into dance music, I was really inspired by what was going on in the UK, and sort of dove into the whole history of like warehouse, like rave culture, and like the DIY, like aesthetic of all that stuff. And that kind of has always inspired me, but I haven't really made a record that I kind of like wanted to sort of encapsulate something like that. So I sort of play these keys and try to. I think we try to shift the sound a little bit more to like today's sonic palette, and then Ryan was messing around with it and made it hit a lot harder and like added like the vocals. And so that was how I think that one, it's interesting because I think like I Want You, I felt like I was driving that one a little bit more. And then Alaska, like, I don't know if, was more on your side.
Yeah, like we definitely have a process, which is cool, that like, both of us are creating our own ideas in a lot of ways, and then we'll send them to each other, and then, try to basically, add to it, build on it, and make it just even more, present and cool and fun. So it's a great dynamic because, each song has its own little identity to it, and you can kind of hear both of our touches on each. But yeah, it's awesome. We're putting out music that I just love to listen to.
Yes, that's so important. And as you mentioned earlier, these were both released through Club Sweat. What was it like working with them?
Great people. Yeah, great people. Like we put out our first record with them, So Fine, at the top of this year, and it was just like a really positive response. And I think as a label, they definitely get how to get this kind of music in the right, in the right avenues to get heard, and especially in the community. So yeah, definitely great label.
And I think they're in their like 11th or 12th year. They're sort of that dance music royalty out in Australia. I believe like Yolanda Cool, like No Speak Americano, like the runs is like the label head, or if not owner. And they release like, I think Rufus Du Sol still releases like with them locally in Australia, and like a lot of other big hitters in our scene, like your A-Tracks and Purple Disco Machines. And so they've got a good history of like records, and it's really exciting to continue being a part of that.
Yeah, I love to hear that. Yolanda Cool were actually the first people I interviewed that Jamie had kind of sent my way. So they have a special place in my heart. So I'm glad to hear that it's been really cool working with them. They seem like good guys.
Totally.
For sure. In addition to the new music, I saw you also recently sold your first music NFT. Is that right? What was that process like? Because I find NFTs so fascinating.
Well, we got to give credit to Pat here because he definitely took the lead on that project. Very smart dude over here, knowing a lot about that ever-changing and ever-growing community and everything surrounding it. So without him in the process, I would have still probably been like, what's gas? What's this? What's that? Like, what's a trust wallet? Like I'm still very new to it. Pat can definitely talk more about that.
Yeah, so I mean, where to begin? We dropped this NFT for Alaska on Catalog as a platform, and they're doing a lot of one-of-one music NFTs with a lot of dope artists that we like, and so I've been following them for a while, and sort of trying to see like where things might go. And it's a pretty interesting time in terms of, I think, the technology changing and artists are taking back more autonomy for themselves. So beyond like, it basically the winner of any auction, is in possession of that NFT, and if that comes with a song or a snippet or something, then that's what it is. That stays forever on like the blockchain, and everyone can see who owns it. So if Kanye turned around and bought it again, we would be able to see it move over. And basically what happens that is really cool for artists is that, as opposed to in the traditional old school art world, we will continue to see royalties off each resale. So and you can set your rate. So it's like 12% on Alaska. So that's pretty cool, like in perpetuity. For us, it also represents a chance to build, I think, better engagement or different types of relationships with our audience. So for this one, as part of it, we announced that as a bonus, whoever's holding this NFT for Alaska would receive VIP access or 2 spots for any one of our shows anywhere in the world for as long as they have the NFT. So again, that would be transferable. Wow. They would also have access to some other goodies like our secret like demo playlist. I know that we were doing a custom like one-of-one earphones like hookup for the fans. There might be a couple other things I'm forgetting, but I think that as we see more artists explore in these worlds, we'll see more creativity and see how like patronage and fandom can evolve. And that's kind of exciting.
That's wicked exciting. That's so cool that you guys have incorporated that. It's a nice extra piece to the new music too, for sure. And speaking of the new music, we got it. Are there any opportunities for people to see you perform live? Any performances coming up?
So we are in the works trying to plan something that we're going to do in different places together. Maybe like a back-to-back night here and there. And since LA is both of our like current hometowns, basically, we're home bases. We're definitely throwing secret parties and having some real fun things pop up here and there, kind of last minute. So it's important to, if you're into the projects or into the music, definitely follow us because we're posting stuff that's going on like 24 hours in advance, if that sometimes. And these things kind of pack out and they're super fun. So it would be great, for people, especially in LA, to be a part of it.
Definitely the secret parties. On my end, around Halloween, we've got a couple of things. I'm going to be playing in Chicago, opening for Zed on October 29th at Aragon Ballroom, and then doing another lineup in New York on November 1st. I think like Troy Boy and Blondish are on that, and that'll stuff all be up on my socials, just at Padlock Music, at Padlock Music everywhere. And then this is probably not supposed to announce this, but then I'm heading to Lisbon for a show out there on the 9th of November. So I'm excited about that one.
That's awesome. Lots to look forward to from the both of you. What do you think one could expect out of a performance from both of you?
Ryan, what do you got?
It's sweaty. It really is sweaty. Like, honestly, it's all about really just the energy in the room and making it really danceable, and everybody just, it's a good vibe. That's all that matters. It's not, it's not much more than that. But I love it. It's what I look forward to doing, on a regular basis. And just come out and party with us. It's a super fun time.
Club Sweaty is really accurate, I think. Like we just did this pop-up in Venice. People have been coming up and being like that, like it was just a great vibe, or like they had so much fun, and that's like honestly it's just music to my age. This is all we kind of really want for people.
Yeah, it's escapism in the best way.
Love it. Sweaty as it should be. That's a beautiful thing. As you both kind of mentioned in your little origin stories, starting out, you made some killer remixes. Do you have any remixes that you've done that hold a special place in your heart or are your favorite?
Pat, what you got?
Oof. Probably there's a couple. I did this remix for Duke Dumont, Red Light, Green Light, that I am fairly proud of. I think that turned out pretty well. And then another one for this band called Hon, like Honne. They're this dope UK like sort of R&B indie soul group. And I remember writing that. I had like 3 days, and I was crashing on my friend's floor in New York, and they were like idols. Like I just loved the record. So the opportunity came up, and I remember sitting there. I dropped all my plans and just sat there writing for 3 days and was like hoping. And then they ended up loving it. And then I actually toured with them the whole like West Coast when I had my live show. And so it just was one of those magical like things that happened to work out.
Totally.
I think
How about you, Ryan?
To this day, I would say probably our remix of Jai Wolf's "Like It's Over" is one of the first ones we did, kind of post Miss Jackson, and just because we were such big fans of Jai Wolf, from the start, it was an honor that he had asked us to do it. And then it's still one of those tunes that I can play it in pretty much any room, any crowd, and it will always have a good reaction. And so that's just a pretty special one. And then I have one actually that I haven't even put out yet or even announced, so I'll just say it. But I've been waiting for this one to come out with for Jungle. I've been a huge fan of Jungle for a long time, and I got a remix of theirs coming hopefully next year. We're just
so good.
We can't wait to hear it. That's exciting.
Yeah, so Remix World is great. I still love it. I think I'll do that for the rest of my life, just for fun. I mean, I think that's like kind of the essence of, what we do in a way, is it's like just make sure it's fun and people are enjoying it.
Totally. That's what it's all about. Besides each other, what other artists have you two been listening to lately that have been really exciting?
Pat, please give me some ideas because I need new music to listen to.
It's funny. So I just went to Kimbra show, which was like a really intimate, I guess, preview of some of the new music here in LA. And a friend of mine has done some production for her, I think her next single. And that was awesome. I went back and like I was familiar with her stuff. She's from New Zealand and has some incredible records. So definitely going to be rinsing Canberra the rest of this year. And then I guess I've been getting into like old records. I was been listening to some Supertramp, so that's neither here nor there.
I love it.
Kimber is dope, man. I've been on her for like almost 10 years, and I would love to work with her, man. She's like an insane producer, like insane at everything, kind of like, yeah, just a monster. God, I'm like kind of a creature of habit, to be honest, because I'm constantly working on so much music, whether it be for Party Pupils or for Max, my other half of Party Pupils, in his project. So I like to listen to, like, honestly, and Pat's probably so sick of hearing me talk about the like Lone, the artist from UK, is just putting out, like, every time he puts out music, I'm excited. And so he's actually got an album coming out, I think, on Friday of this week that I'm just so excited for.
Nice.
But yeah, other than that, I don't have too many other things that I can really shout out right now.
Hey, that's good. That's good enough for me. Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah.
Now that these two records are out, what is next for both of you guys?
I think we're actually still planning a bunch of really fun things around these releases. And then like some remixes coming out, and then we have, I mean, a ton more music coming out, and honestly a lot of like different flips and ideas that I'm not sure, you know, where they will end up, but I think you'll probably be able to expect a steady stream of music coming out from the two of us combined, and definitely from us independently.
That's awesome. I got one lucky fan question for the two of you.
Dude.
Darius wants to know, what is it like in the industry during the pandemic?
Oh.
Good question. Well, I'll jump on real quick. I think it was a challenging time at first, and has been, as for everyone, you know, in the world affected by this. You know, once, at least for me, I like realized that everyone around me was like, you know, safe and okay. Creatively, it represented, I think, a time to explore and take a bit more chances and be like, okay, well, there's no shows for the next 6 months, and so I could do whatever I want, maybe creatively, or try some different things. And so I did more remote Zoom sessions. So with Ryan, with Ryan, we've done that in the past, but I also did a little bit more with some other artists, and started to figure out what might work for my creative workflow, what might not, and it was really introspective and enlightening time from that side of it.
Totally.
Yeah, I could pretty much say something similar in that it's like I knew that you could take two different approaches to that situation, which, you know, no one in our lifetime, in our, you know, our age or even close to it, had experienced anything like this before.
Right.
And I think that I know a lot of people obviously got very uninspired and kind of lost all kind of like will to learn something new or be positive or whatever. And I totally understood that. I think I was afforded a privilege to be able to have had a few good years prior to that leading up, you know, touring a lot and working a lot. And I was able to not worry as much as, you know, a lot of other people had to. So I used the time to really make a lot of music and learn new things about my craft, and even slightly outside of it. And yeah, basically prepare for what is now, you know, thankfully, very, very gratefully, the kind of the beginning of the new world. And we're kind of off to the races. So to those who didn't feel like they got enough done or achieved anything during that time, you didn't do anything wrong. You're not alone. And it was definitely a very, very difficult time for everybody. But I'm extremely grateful for the time to have learned something new and bettered myself in some way, hopefully. And here we are.
For sure. Oh, very well said. I'm glad you both were able to stay inspired and creative during that time. And I am especially glad we're back at a time where we can do performances again and kind of start getting used to the new world, as you said it.
Definitely.
For sure. Well, my final question for you two, it's a bit of a loaded one, but here in the state of Maine, our state motto is the way life should be. So I want to know, according to you, what is the way life should be?
That's a good question.
You go first.
Ah, the way life should be. It's the way you want it to be without hurting others, and I guess making sure you know kind of do no harm. And I think whatever that entails for you, wherever you live, whatever you're into, um, try to enjoy yourself, and that's about it. I mean, it's very cliche, but I would say that that's the way life should be for everyone, is what they feel it should be without doing wrong to others. That's all I'll say.
Absolutely. It's perfect.
Yeah, I mean, hard to riff off of that, really. Knowing yourself and approaching the world with love and as much openness as possible, which is pretty difficult to, I mean, like even for me, like I'm sometimes a bit of an introvert, but something to keep in mind is, yeah, just all trying to do things with love, and openness, and like Ryan said, like, to minimize the harm we do to other people, is, yeah, I think that's at the core of that for me.
That's perfect. I couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you both so much for taking the
Thank
time
you.
to chat with me today. I'm excited about these tracks, but also whatever is left to come. I know there's a lot more to look forward to.
You bet. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you,
And
guys.
yeah, we'll talk to you very soon, hopefully.
Amazing. Until we meet again.
Thanks.
Yes.
Take care, guys.